Howdy folks, I'm trying something new tonight. So I am just recording some local gameplay content that I'm not streaming live. So this is Hex Immortal. This is a variation on the Turbo Psychic Ascension deck that I played a ton of when it was standard legal. So playing a little bit of that tonight. Basically, I was going to fire up and play a few games of Immortal anyways, but I didn't think I was going to play enough that I wanted to fire up and stream for just like, you know, an hour or 45 minutes. But I figured some people might appreciate getting a little bit of Hex gameplay, because I know there's not a ton of Hex constructed content out there video-wise, so I figured we'd record the games I was going to play, maybe talk about why I'm making some of the choices I'm making while I play, and have a little bit of fun. So, opponent is playing Balthazar here. Howling Brave into Pomegranate, so pretty quick start from them. I'm gonna grab the Sapphire here. I wonder if I'm even supposed to focus here. So I have the Cyclone Shaper on too. Part of me feels like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna play this. I might wait to play the Shaper on 4 actually, depending on what else we find here. Yeah, Thunderfield Seer is a good reason to pick up this. Play the Arcane Focus now, so get our Prophecy going. So this deck, for people that weren't playing Standard when this deck was legal, basically what this deck aims to do is it aims to play Cyclone Shaper out and then kind of loop through the deck very quickly by playing a bunch of one-cost actions and Consult the Talons that are essentially free by putting troops into play, and that you play a very early Psychic Ascension and then eventually win the game by continuing to play actions and generate troops with your Psychic Ascension. So it's a very, very powerful deck when it was in Standard. I think I'm just going to go ahead and Heart's Whisper here. Again, just like looking for a critical velocity of actions. For those who aren't familiar here, so Psychic Ascension starts as a 15 cost. You can see it's at 13 now because I've played 2 actions. Every time you play an action while this is in your hand or deck, its cost goes down by 1. So eventually, we're going to make this card free. And then we're going to hopefully do some scary things. So it's up to 7 resources this turn with the Howling Brave. There's another Howling Brave. We'll see what all exactly they have going on next turn. One of the things I really like about this deck here is you'll see I had the Remnant of Purpose in my hand, then I played some Howling Plains Alphas, Howling Plains Bluegrass, sorry, earlier. This deck has very, very good resources, especially compared to a lot of the other two-shard combinations in this format. So the fact that we basically get to play 3 different dual resources without having many of them be slow, they all come into play and make a temporary resources when you play them is very, very powerful. So you can see here, the way Hex's resource system works with the cost structure from the Cyclone Shaper, I just have a bunch of 0-cost things, and I just get to keep looping through here, and I'm going to play this Light the Votives, and this Cosmic Calling here is a mechanic called Mobilize, so even though it has a 2-cost there, I get to exhaust my troop to make it free. I just kind of get to keep on keeping on here. So I get a Light the Votives or a Runebind here. I think I might just get a Thunderfield Seer. I think my hand, the way I am set up, I kind of just like want a little bit more velocity. So I think overall I'd like to just get more card draw going. So this card doesn't draw a card immediately, but the next action of my deck gets the text to draw a card tacked onto it. So basically it's a card draw in the bank, so to speak. Opponent looks like they're playing Mono Wild, so they could have something like a Crocosaur next turn to maybe eat my Cyclone Shaper. But if they do that, I think I'm going to Runebind my Cyclone Shaper in response. So I have Transmog and Runebind. I couldn't play the Heart's Whisper because it costs 2. That is just a Carnosaur, so I don't really care about that. When opponent's going to gain some health, so these guys fight things when they come into play, and they say whenever your things fight, you get to gain some health. So their health total is really pretty irrelevant to me. I don't care if they're at like, you know, 400 or, you know, 2 when we eventually combo. We're going to deal a lot of damage to them. I wonder what the rest of the cards in their hand are at this point. If I get to play the second Cyclone Shaper out, we should run away with the game very, very quickly. So opponent is definitely getting to the range of killing us very quickly with like this Might Singer of the Ages. So let's go ahead and play the Cyclone Shaper out here. And we'll play this out to draw 2 cards, hopefully. Get a bunch of velocity going here. I ran out of cards that draw cards. Well, that's sad. I guess I can Runebind my Thunderfield Seer here because it's prophesized, so I can Runebind this and then draw a card. And another Light the Votives. All right, well, can make some candles here. I guess I could technically blow my load and PA here, huh? I think that's a little aggressive though, so I'm just gonna go ahead and transmog this so it doesn't get any larger. I could transmog and Runebind here because they're free or they're -1 cost, and then that would let me Psychic Ascension right now, but I don't think that's quite worthwhile. One of the things that's kind of nice about this deck is those Light the Votives that make the candles, and you'll notice every Light the Votive makes additional candle. With my hero power here, I'm actually just going to go ahead and make all these candles 2/2s, so you can actually win the game with this deck without actually fully like comboing off, so to speak, with Psychic Ascension, just by like making a bunch of candles with Light the Votives and then hitting your champion power to give them all +1/+1. Yep, that's a Carnosaur, and now if this wants to fight anything, it's going to trade with it. They're going to gain 6 points of health, so like they're getting out of range of me like killing them with our fair backup plan isn't really going to kill them, but Psychic Ascension should bury them deep in the ground next turn. So this is a game where we actually kind of bricked off a little bit because we didn't hit a critical mass of cantrips, but the fact that we still just hit a Psychic Ascension here means they're going to get to do wonderful things. So Psychic Ascension says every time we play an action now, we generate an additional troop with a cost equal to its action. So this Light the Votives, in addition to making 4 candles, it's going to make a random 1 cost. So these transmogs will make random 1 cost things when they come into play. And then at any point, should we hit a like a Consult the Talon or the Heart's Whisper here, we're just going to hopefully hit a critical mass of cards that draw more cards and like make our board really, really huge. Another thing that makes this deck really good is this deck's really good against aggressive decks because while you're comboing, you're like gumming the board up like this, so they have a hard time really attacking through your board. I think this deck has potential to be very, very good in this format, I think. So far, the best, it's actually a really good, this has a 1-shot Illuminate, so it's going to make all these candles larger next turn. Once it gets used, it's 1-shot. The downside to this deck versus, say, the Taking Turns combo deck that we've played on stream before is that this deck doesn't kill you the turn it like combos off, even when it does fully go off, because it needs to attack with the board that it creates the turn it plays it out. So basically, you have to go make a board really wide, and usually you can have like Runebinds and stuff to protect your board so you don't die on their following turn, but you do have to like pass the turn back to your opponent even when you fully go off, which does have a real downside. There is a Consult the Talon, so I'm going to go ahead and mobilize a couple of candles here to make this free. And then even though I paid 0 resources for this, it still counts as a 7-cost card, so it's still going to make a 7-drop here. Same thing here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab this Heart's Whisper. And this is us kind of going off, like I said here, so we get to go ahead and just make lots of troops here. Once our cards draw cards, they draw more cards, so got a lot going on at this point. Oh, I forgot to activate. I've got to activate this guy. That's fine. You can see here we're just going very wide, and our board is very huge. We've got lots of things. What does this do? We play a prismatic card. This gets bigger, sure. Alright, so reserving. Opponent's playing like mono wild stuff. I think I'm actually just gonna click submit. I'm pretty sure like our opponent's playing kind of a mid-rangey ramp deck, which I think is probably just too slow for our linear game plan. Our reserves here are like Verdict of the Ancient Kings for other combo decks to interrupt their stuff. Dark Heart along with Clash of Steel kind of pairs up to kind of interact with I guess this could maybe be a Dark Heart Clash of Steel deck. I don't really know what the reserves in this deck need to be because Immortal's still really developing as a format, which is nice to play a proactive deck like this because, you know, by and large, if you're not really sure what your opponent's doing, just being proactive and having a way to actually end the game is generally a good thing. It's possible I might want like some Gravebane Vials or things like that. There's a Reanimator combo deck that mills your deck out instantaneously. That's very, very powerful and put up a lot of results in a lot of the gauntlets so far. So it's possible that that could be reasonable as well. I actually don't have all 12 duels in here now that I'm looking at it because you don't have that many room for resources. There's only 18 resources in this deck since you play 8 ice. think this hand's pretty good. Usually hands that you can. We're a little bit light on 1-cost cantrips here yet again, but I've got 2 pieces of ice to kind of fate weave to guarantee that we draw a little bit of action. There, Light the Votives is pretty good. So to go ahead and ice. So I don't really need a 4th resource, so I'm going to guarantee that we draw a non-resource next turn. I might guarantee a 4th resource with this Sapphire Ice, depending on what we do. Although next turn I might also do this into one of these. Borean Rootfather, so they get to put this card from their deck into their hand, and they draw a card, and then this specific copy of Borean Rootfather will be cheaper for them next time. So, kind of validating that like their deck is a kind of a mid-range ramp deck. That is a quite excellent draw. So next turn we're going to get to kind of go off. Get to see us have a good early like combo pressure here. So I'm going to put another non-resource on top of my deck to kind of maximize our ability to hopefully hit cantrips and plow through our deck next turn. So Consult the Talon. I had this card last time, but I didn't really talk about it. It's a 7-cost card initially that has triple mobilize. So every troop you exhaust with this card makes the card 1 or 2 cheaper, and that combined with Cyclone Shaper's effect means that we are able to reduce its cost to completely free if we have 3 troops in play. So I'm going to go ahead and play my Cyclone Shaper out. And then my second copy of Light the Votives here is going to go ahead and make 2 candles. And now I can go ahead and use this Consult the Talon with these 3 Dorkos to draw 3 cards. And I need to go ahead and play this Guidance and draw a card. You can see here, well, we drew a bunch of 2-drops, so unfortunately we are done cycling through our deck this turn, but next turn we'll get to go ahead and play some Heart's Whisperers and kind of plow through our deck some more. One of the things that's really powerful about this deck is we have the 4 copies of Runebind, and we have these copies of Evaporate, and these cards are all made free by Cyclone Shaper. So basically, when we have our Cyclone Shaper in play, we have these cards that allow us to protect it that we don't have to leave resources up to protect. If I'm being completely honest, I would not be surprised if Cyclone Shaper is not long for this world in terms of cards that are going to be legal in Hex's Immortal format long term, but while he's here, we are certainly going to do sweet and really kind of busted things with him. So that Heart's Whisper I guaranteed a resource, then we hit 2, which hurts a little bit. This one will guarantee a non-resource, hopefully hit 2 non-resources. Hey, look at that, another Consult the Talon. I would love to draw 3 cards while paying 0 resources. Hey, look, an Arcane Focus. You can see here as we kind of plow through our stuff, the Psychic Ascension just ticking down and down and down in our hand while we play these free resources out. Play these free cards out. I'm actually just going to burn some of these cards, making my Psychic Ascension. So I'm going to transmog that, and then I'm actually just going to evaporate it here because I'm going to have to discard cards anyways. Just like, again, remember, every action I play out reduces the cost of the Psychic Ascension. So go ahead and do our thing here. And the opponent, like, really not putting up much of a fight here. Mid-range decks that can't, like, interact with our board heavily or disrupt our hand or interact with us on the chain are really pretty much biased for this deck. So this type of matchup is probably very, very good for us. Like, anytime your Cyclone Shaper gets out and gets to stay and play uncontested, your opponent's gonna have a real bad time. Alright, so let's go ahead and play the Cyclone Shaper out, which will make this Heart's Whisper cost 1. So we'll go ahead and we'll play that. We'll get some non-resources going on here. And now the Psychic Ascension is free. So we'll play the Psychic Ascension out, and now we'll start snowballing through our deck here. Actually, let's play this Light the Votives. Which, again, every action we play now has generates a troop. So even though these actions are free when we play them out, their cost on the chain is equal to their actual cost, not reduced. So they still make the troops of the full attack and defense there. Alright, we're back. I think we're back. Maybe. Yeah, it looks like we're back. Good. Sweet. Alright, second match. Opponent's playing Lady Avalanche here. Momentum champion. This one's standard legal and pretty popular there. We probably Diamond Wild Momentum. Could be another Mono Wild variation as well, though. So wild something with that champion. Hopefully an okay matchup for us. Again, really not sure how any of this deck's matchups are going to play out in this format. Double Consult, double Guidance. I think this is a mulligan. This hand, the double Consult is usually pretty good, but like we have the Psychic Ascension in our opener, which is kind of medium. If we had like ways to make troops, these Consults would be fine, but I think this hand just like doesn't really do anything. So this hand is also a little bit mediocre because it's got the double Consult, but it's actually a little bit better because while it does need to find troops to mobilize these Consults, it needs to find less resources than the last one. So the last hand needed to find 2 resources, and this one only needs to find 1, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to Fate Weave a non-resource at the top of my deck here because it's pretty important that I find units to do with these, and this can find us a resource. And these could, the important thing about sequencing the cantrips in this deck before you get set up is that you want to sequence your Arcane Focuses first, because these can't guaranteed get you a resource or can't guaranteed get you a non-resource, whereas Guidance always can. This is Spell Shield and Rhinos, so pretty quick start out of the opponent here. So we're going to need to find our Sapphire here, which we do. Perfect. It's a non-slow shard as well. Let's focus again here. Now we're looking for, ideally, we're looking for things that make units. Do I want this Evaporate? The Evaporate could buy us valuable time, but the Remnant of Purpose guarantees that I get to hit my champion power in 2 turns, which is kind of good. Guaranteed hitting my champion power means I can Consult on 4. Hopefully my opponent's deck isn't going to be quite aggressive enough to kill us before then. Well, their start is pretty good here. They're going to hit us with this Runebind for 3, which is going to grow this to a 4 and this to a 3, plus add a Rhino to the board. So I don't think they're going to kill us next turn, but there's a good chance we die the turn after that. Light the Votives is a very good draw here. Looks like they're mono wild. Grab a non-resource here. Let's go ahead and cycle through these. Unless we draw another Light the Votives, we're going to be done here. Yep, so I'm going to go ahead and pass. And then with this Light the Votives in my hand, there's a good chance we get to get going next turn, which is good because we need to get going next turn with all the pressure our opponent currently has us under. It's possible I should have played a Light the Votives out there to chump block, but I kind of want the Light the Votives on my turn in order to get things going. Pipit, Pal. Which they gave momentum to that, so if this resolves, I'm going to take probably 4, 8, 11 this turn. I think I just Runebind this. Because they've already played their resource for the turn. This means my opponent can't play another resource out, so they should only be hitting us with these. Which then, something important to note here is that these Rhinoceroses have Crush. So I can't just, like, I can chump block these Runebind until I'm blue in the face, but the Rhinoceroses, they're going to potentially put us in the ground here. So let's go ahead and do this. Then I'm going to go ahead and make a thing here. And hopefully we end up going off here. So let's draw 3 cards and see what these bring. Okay, sweet. That's another Light the Votives. So you see this ticking down as we go here. Let's Heart's Whisper and hopefully find some more candles. Perfect. So we get to really get going here. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully find some more cards. Draw some more cards. Getting a little bit light here. Need to find some free ones. None of those are free ones. We could be dead here. We have 2 chump blockers. If we get another turn, we'll be in a good spot. If we don't get another turn, we're going to be in a bad way. I actually think this is probably fine. Yeah, I don't really have any potential responses to it either, so it's going to let this Pipit Pal come into play here, but I think this means my opponent's not going to be able to fight my things, and I'm going to be able to go chump block, plus Evaporate one of these Rhinos. Which means we don't die during this combat, which is great. They can put us to 1. So I'll go block here, and then I get to go ahead and say, hey, pick this one up, and then I take a good clean 6, 7. But thankfully 1 and 0 are different amounts, so we go to 1 here, and then we get to play the Psychic Ascension next turn, and hopefully go very, very wide and have more than enough to keep them at bay. So do I want to play this Cyclone Shaper, or do I want a Psychic Ascension first? The Cyclone Shaper makes the Psychic Ascension free, and then it makes this cost 1. I think I want a Cyclone Shaper first. Because playing the Cyclone Shaper first, that saved us 1 resource. This saves us 2 resources, so it's almost paid for itself. Mobilize here. That's pretty unfortunate that we have basically bricked off. I guess Transmogrifade is decent here. It's gonna let us take the crush off these rhinos, which is nice. Yes, Dingle is amazing here because Crocosaur is one of our opponent's best cards on this board. I wonder if I'm supposed to have killed. This. This is an Exalted Pathfinder. I'm pretty sure I just let this happen. We just want to like make sure they don't like croc through all of our blockers. We need to deal with these. We need to deal with these rhinos and then make sure they don't croc through our blockers, basically. Because like I mentioned earlier in the first game, once we get going, our opponent's just like not going to be able to stop us. Eternal Seeker, see, look at that. Aren't we glad we saved this Dingle? I'll turn that into a nice, fat, ugly Dingler. Get out of my house. We're going to go Transmog. Oh, I can mobilize this. I don't need to mobilize this. This has mobilized because we found it off of the other thing earlier. So Transmog you and Transmog you. And again, I'm transmogging these specific guys because they have Crush. Exhaust target troop. This can't ready during your next... Alright, so continue to defense. This can block here. What does this do? Other troop playing under your control gets Gladiator 1. Sure, so what is attacking me? These got spent for resources, so I get to go ahead and put 2 blockers. Here's this do, and this deals damage champion, draw a card. And then we'll chump block here, chump block here. And then I'll put my 2/1 in front of here. So I've blocked all of those. This is going to die. These are going to die, and these are going to bounce. And Sand's another Eternal Seeker. Even if they have an Eternal Seeker, we might be able to go wide enough here that they actually can't get through it. So let's play this out and put a non-resource on top of my deck. Let's go ahead and hit this, see what we get. Transform an artifact. So I don't have any artifacts, so let's do this. And let's play the Cyclone Shaper out, so it makes my last thing I think is free. Let's play Heart's Whisper. Some non-resources here. Runebind is pretty good. This is Prophesize, right? So it draws a card. Yep. So let's go ahead and do this. Make another thing. I would love some Candlekin. Let me draw another card. So let's go ahead and play this out. It doesn't need to mobilize. So hopefully Runebind means that we're going to be pretty well off here. Those are 3 resources. So that card actually can't get a resource. So that's going to be the end of the line there. And this could be a game where, depending on if they have another Seeker and they're able to get some resources going, they could potentially punch through here. We'll see. We do actually have to race them a little bit. But again, we have the ground gummed up pretty well here. They need, like, Eternal Seeker with Palm of Granite or Eternal Seeker resources, draw resources with Exalted Pathfinder. I definitely would expect them to have multiple Seekers in their deck, but how many is the question, because they may or may not have that many. Balthazar, I think that's fine. There's a non-zero chance they just, like, draw out here. So they're down to 21 cards in their deck. We're kind of waiting on another Consult the Talon. We've already consulted twice this game, though, right? Yeah, we consulted early. That's another kind of scary threat because this one develops Crush. Those both develop Crush. All right, so hopefully We find something that lets us draw through our deck next turn. Kind of get going. It's going to be a lot of crush. They got 14 power worth of crush next turn. I've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 power in the air. If we draw a resource, we get a chance to unbrick by hitting our champion power. Got a lot of good random ones. A lot of like, you know, like annihilates and stuff like that that destroy everything in play. Sunlit Sentence would be just absolutely insane. Clash of Steel would probably be pretty okay for us too. Alright, well, hopefully we generate a good one here. It really sucks that we got this Slaughter Gears that we're not able to play out. Okay, Mara Strike. Target troop gets attack equal to its defense this turn. Or gets what? It gets attack equal to its defense. So that lets this attack for +5. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I could potentially kill them next turn. I don't know that that's good enough. I'm going to have to put 21 defense in front of these Might Singers. I think I just passed the turn for now. My problem is that like these Might Singers are going to grow out of control pretty quickly for me. They put momentum on there too. That's a pivot pal. So they're gonna get to pump up this Might Singer a pretty significant margin, most likely. That's a croc. I'm gonna go ahead and Runebind this. I guess I could have Runebound a Might Singer there. Potentially would be better. Because they could, if they draw more cards here, they could potentially flip this back out. I guess I get to Chimera Strike my bigger one here, which is nice. This is a 13 now. This is going to fight. They're fighting two of my things over there. I think that's fine still. That's a little scary. That makes sense why they fought something different that time, because they drew another one of these. I'm gonna go ahead and make this one bigger. Oh, I gained 3 health. That's actually nice. Just a little bit more breathing room. So at least trade with that. Maybe that was a waste, since that thing wasn't going to get to attack this turn regardless. I have another Might Singer here. Losing all of our things there is definitely a touch awkward. If they smash, do I have enough to survive? I don't think that I do, right? Because I only have 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 29, and then 30 defense, and they're attacking me with... I guess let's just start putting blockers out. So we have to chump these. And then I need to put enough in front of these to kill them. Lordy, I'd forgotten about how bad these board states are. I can zoom in on one of these. Is that it? That's center click. I thought I could break these packs up somehow. Apparently that's not a thing. There must be a hotkey I'm forgetting. I'm pretty sure you can break these packs up somehow. Three, and I've got a 2 in front of here. Another one. I think we're just dead from the crush here. A little bit slow getting off the ground there. That's why we get to play 3. And again, I don't think I really want to change anything. I think I'm just going to run it back. Just try and be a little bit faster, because I think this style of matchup is generally okay for this deck. Take this game on the play. This hand is very good. Just go ahead and put this on 1 here. Get Seer out, pass the turn. Get my prophecy going ASAP here. Need another resource here. That's pretty okay. Perfect. Let's go ahead and Arcane Focus, looking for whatever we prophesized onto. Do I want an Evaporate? I think I'd rather just have an Arcane Focus, actually. Let's go ahead and play Well of Purpose here. And then we can play this Light the Votives. And the next turn we can go Remnant of Purpose for our second Sapphire. And then Consult to draw 3. Just get a good amount of velocity going very early here. Thunderfield from them, sure. If we're really lucky, we'll draw another Thunderfield Seer or another Candlekin. Sweet. So that lets us do this, which then lets us play Consult the Talons for 1, which is excellent. Most excellent. Perfect. It's a good amount of velocity going. So opponent can't quite crock us just yet. Pip pal, sure. I'm going to start with this because we could hit like resource plus. This is one of those games where I mentioned sometimes you kind of go off without fully comboing with this deck, where you get set up and make a bunch of candles and end up using your champion powers, just like make them all 2/2s and attack your opponent to death with them that way. Huh. I think I want to take the Shaper here just so we can like do our thing next turn. Again, I'm not going to hit this just yet because I'm not sure. I don't need the body this turn, and I'm not sure that I necessarily won't generate more candles next turn. So next turn we'll get to go Shaper into double Runebind and like got 3 cantrips here. So hopefully we'll find that Psychic Ascension pretty soon. They're generating momentum on these here, but again, like these troops aren't that scary because they don't have Crush, which is great for us. Those are almost a pain, except I have double Runebind in my hand, so I think we're just going to do that and then do our thing. So Runebind is a really, really powerful card. There's a good chance our opponent gets to flip those back out next turn, so hopefully we combo here. There's a Heart's Whisper, and this has Mobilize now, so this one is free, which is great. And just like looking for Psychic Ascension so we can start doing our thing here. If I play this, it makes the Psychic Ascension free, which is nice. That's what we're looking for at this point. We just want all the free stuff. I would love a... Wait, what? Opponent's had enough. They don't have enough going on, and we've ascended. Well, they don't have enough aboard. The only reason we had close to a game in that that second game while they had a board was because what's the word I'm looking for? Was because they had a board going by the time we got going. I think I'm gonna bring these into the Unknown's End, so this will take care of those drown shrines nicely. It puts a card back into its controller's hand and then transforms it into something else. So I think I'm gonna grab those. I'll board out these Transmogrifades on the draw. I'd say trimming the Evaporates too. They can protect my Cyclone Shapers from Crocosaurs though, which is nice. Yeah, I'm gonna board out the 2 Transmogrifade, bring the End of the Unknowns. Because the End of the Unknowns, they can tag. They're more expensive, but they can like tag Might Singers and Crocosaurs too if we need them to. It's possible, and this is something I hadn't considered because when I was updating this deck, it's possible that Hawkward Turn is actually better than Into the Unknown in this deck. It doesn't get rid of all the other copies of the hate card that you're making them pick up, but it does, what's the word I'm searching for? It does, it's cheaper. And it also answers Brilliant Enerelix, which I think is a card that's very, very good in this current format. So you can see here, our hand is going to be very, very bad against a fast Drown Train here. Drown Train is also good because it prevents you from kind of finding your answers to it. So it's a very, very powerful hate card for a combo deck such as this one that we're playing. So we're definitely playing this out, and the question becomes, what do I want to do with my turn next turn? They missed their shard drop, but they pseudo hit it via the Chlorophylla here. So I could just go double Seer here. That's probably the line. If they have a Drowned Shrine, I'm going to be really sad that I didn't use this Guidance, is the thing. So if they have the Shrine here, if they don't have a Shrine, we might get to do some stuff next turn. Okay, there's a Karn, that's fine. They could still Shrine because Howling Brave makes a resource. Sweet. And they should probably attack here, because I really don't. Maybe I'd block. Yeah, I'd probably block here, I think. I don't have any Consult the Talons in my hands just yet. I think if they ship, I'm going to block, because I'm pretty far off of comboing. Yeah. Cosmic Calling is pretty good, and it's prophesized. Alright, so let's play this out, I suppose. And then we'll Guidance. Light the Votives versus an Evaporate. I think I'm going to take the Evaporate because I want to protect my Cyclone Shaper. Oh, it was double prophesized, right? I forgot about that. That's all they have. We're going to be in a pretty good spot here. Yeah, sweet. Alright, so I'm definitely playing this, and now the question becomes, do I want to... I could play the Cyclone Shaper, but then I can only singles Hearts Whisper this turn. I think I want to just double Hearts Whisper this turn. Just because they're a Drowned Shrine deck, getting all of my draw effects done ASAP and out of my hand, so that way if I eventually hit the Psychic Ascension, is quite excellent. So there's a Hearts Whisper, fantastic, and I can go ahead and make a troop here with that, and then mobilize it off the Cosmic Calling. So just keep it on here, and then this makes it only makes one Candlekin so far. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this, and now if we find another Light the Votives with this, we can Consult the Talons this turn. And another Consult. So that's going to be a quad. It's a quad mobilized one, so it's not super useful. I think I'm just passing the turn here. The slow shard doesn't really do anything for me, so I'm going to go ahead and discard that one. And like next turn we can go Shaper, Thunderfield Seer, and then do some stuff from there. The Pathfinder, sure. Runebind is an amazing pickup because it's going to allow us to kind of play through a Drowned Shrine, which is nice. Obviously, no blocks on this. You can take your thing. So let's go ahead and play this out to start. And then I'm not going to play this other Cyclone Shaper just yet because I don't know exactly how many resources I'm going to end up with needing on other things. And this is free regardless if I have this Shaper in play or not. So I want to like play all my free things out to start. Now the Hearts Whisper is a card that kind of makes me want to play this out sooner. That's a Light the Votives. So we're actually short on bodies here. So while the another Consult is appealing, I already had a Consult in my hand. So woof, those are some pretty bad ones. All right, well let's play this out now. And And then that reduces the cost of this to 1, so I can go ahead and play this. And I can go ahead and play this. And again, even if we end up bricking off here at this point, which we're not quite bricked off yet, I do have Evaporates into the Unknowns and Runebinds here. So we're going to pick a bunch of blockers here. And then we do end up a little bit short here. None of these draw cards, right? Nope. Nope, not prophesized. Alright, so that sucks a little. I guess we've got a pretty big board here. Like the Ruiner Hierophant can't really afford to attack in. I'm gonna go ahead and Evaporate. I'm gonna go ahead and Evaporate this Exalted Pathfinder in response to this one. This means they draw less cards, which is nice. My opponent had commented in chat there that I'm just waiting for the Psychic Ascension and I'll forfeit. And I don't actually have the Psychic Ascension yet, so part of me really wants to into the Unknown this Exalted Pathfinder since I know they have another one in their hand, but at the same time, like, if they hit a Drown Shrine and I don't have a good clean answer to it, and then we draw cards, that could really bury us. Palm of Granite. I'm actually going to go ahead and Evaporate this Exalted Pathfinder in response to the Palm of Granite, so this way they don't draw cards from it. So go ahead and pick that bad boy up. Opponent said enough. All right, I'm not sure that we were 100% to win that game. I think we were a strong favorite, but I'm not. I don't know that we were a lock by any means. All right, I do think I want some Hawkward turns in the 75 probably, but let's keep on keeping on. We're 2-0. We're technically 3-0 here, but I had my second opponent that just didn't show up. They queued into the match that didn't play. So let's see if we can keep on keeping on this gauntlet. All right, third match here with Turbo PA playing against Maker Mom on a Blood Spinner Zorath, which probably means some kind of Mono Blood or Blood Wild. It seems okay. It needs a third resource and some troops, but it's pretty reasonable other than that. I'm going to go ahead and put a third resource on top of our deck here, and we can grab some more stuff with Guidance. Withering Gaze, that's a little brutal. So let's look at our hand and grab a card here. Almost certainly going to lose our Psychic Ascension. This is part of the reason we play 2. Big part of the reason we play 2. Grab non-resources here at this point. Again, just like playing through all of these reduces the cost of either Psychic Ascension in our deck. Vampire Prince is kind of scary. It gets to bury cards off the top of our deck, which combined with the fact that I've already lost a Psychic Ascension is a little bit dangerous. I'm going to play with fire a little bit here and hit the Heart's Whisper this turn. If we get really unfortunate and they hit our other Psychic Ascension, we actually can't win, but I think it's just too resource inefficient to use the Transmog this turn on that, as opposed to getting some cards going with the Heart's Whisper. Next turn, we'll Transmog this plus Champ Power, and then Cosmic Calling. That's a little scary. Definitely transmogging one of these. We'll see where else we go from there. I'll start with Guidance and see what we get. Cyclone Shaper. That's very, very good for us. I guess, so this is kind of interesting. So, if I put a resource on top of my deck, it guarantees my opponent can't, it guarantees my opponent doesn't hit our Psychic Ascension next turn, but if this hits a resource, they get to draw a resource. I think it's right to guaranteed give them a resource here, just because I really don't want to burn my Runebind just yet, I don't think, and I don't want to risk them hitting my Psychic Ascension, thus causing me to, like, not be able to win the game. Like, I know it's a small probability that they hit my Psychic Ascension, but I think it's not quite worth the risk. Lethal, Life Drain, Starving, Lich. Alright. So we're still under 4 power here, so we're gonna let them hit us first, because I don't want a Cosmic Calling while there's a shard on top of my deck. That's unfortunate for us. So that's a Bride of the Damned, which says whenever they play a Bloodthirst, will lead something -1/-1 here. So it looks like they're playing Mono Blood. So they're gonna kill our Candlekin here. Let's go ahead and use it to mobilize to find something. Heart's Whisper sounds great. That means next turn I can go Cyclone Shaper into free Heart's Whisper mobilized off the Cyclone Shaper. That's a pretty good hit as well. So let's play this. Let's play this. Let's go ahead and do this. We're looking for Light the Votives at this point. I wonder if I'm supposed to just wait on this, because I can block their Vampire Prince next turn. Pretty good chance they just hit this with removal though, so I think I want to just do this now. Evaporate is pretty good here. That can save our shit potentially. Do I want to run the Gambit and Runebind this Bride of the Damned? I almost feel like I do. Because if they don't hit a shard next turn, we're in a pretty good spot. I just like don't want that Bride on the table, like killing my Thunderfield Seers and stuff, basically. The problem here is if this hits me and finds a shard, they get to flip this back out, but I think I just have to run the Gambit on that. Extinction. That's annoying. I could save the Cyclone Shaper, but I think I'm just supposed to let that happen. Double Consult with no troops in play feels really bad. Put a non-resource on top of my deck, play this Shaper out. I do have this Evaporate to protect this, and if non-shard. If this survives, I get to go ahead and consult and draw 4 cards next turn, which is nice. Yep, that's gonna happen. So now if they have a hero fall, they get to like take our Evaporate and then kill this. Does this mean they don't have a removal spell? That would be pretty good for us. Malice is fine. Get a free block here. So they took our draw 4, but I still have a draw 3. The other thing is that, like, there's only one Psychic Ascension in my deck, so if we get a little bit unlucky and the positioning of that Psychic Ascension is a little bit medium, we could end up in a lot of trouble here as well still. Wow, that was pretty good. So we have to find... We've got this. I think I'm just supposed to pass the turn here. I think I'm just supposed to pass the turn. Because I don't want to play this out, because my opponent's likely to flip their Bride of the Damned back out this turn, and I don't want them to kill this for free by just playing the resource. So kind of interesting here. This is... No, that's quick, so that's not interesting at all. I was going to say, I could bounce this so they can't sack it to this, but this is a quick speed, so they're going to do this regardless. This lets them put spiders in our deck, or they can sacrifice a spider, which this is here. So this is the engine in the opponent's deck. This makes spiders every turn that normally die, but Zenthos Malice lets you sacrifice those spiders to draw cards. I'm putting some spiders in my deck. Okay, well... Let's see what we have going on here. Let's go ahead and do this, and then get this consult going. So there's 4 spider eggs in our deck, so it's possible we're going to floop some spiders out here. Yep. Then we drew really poorly here. Not only did we not... Didn't find any cantrips in any of that, which is a little bit sad. So, like, not super expecting to, like, find a, you know, like a guaranteed, I guaranteed Psychic Ascension. Like, obviously, there's only one Ascension left in our deck, right? But, like, finding like, more cards to draw more cards would be kind of nice. I'm actually going to go ahead and Evaporate this in response to this trigger, because what Bride of the Dam says is when you have 5 or more blood thresholds, when you kill a troop, it comes back into play under your control. So I just want to kind of ensure that they don't steal my stuff here. So that's why they tried to kill this in response to this Evaporate, so that way they could take my Cyclone Shaper. It's also possible I should have just Evaporated my Cyclone Shaper instead of Runebinding it, but I kind of like having it over here, I think. Well, I guess I have enough resources that it maybe would have just been better to have in my hand. I can see that going either way. Now they have the choice here, like, do they want to draw more cards with the Zenthos Malice? Do they want to, like, play the Bride out? Vampire Princess pressures our hand. That's nice as well for them. That's a Runebind. So I'm going to go ahead and just Runebind this Vampire Princess here, trying to find some things to draw more cards. It's real... I guess we got my Shaper back, but it kind of sucks to basically brick off again. It's possible if they get a full turn with all the resource and they just like load our deck up with spiders from the Zenthos Malice, that the turn we combo, we draw enough cards, we're just like not gonna be able to pass the turn back to them because we could die with the spiders popping out of our deck, which is definitely a weakness of this deck. Like I said, that's one of the big downsides this archetype has versus something like taking turns that gets to kill them the turn it combos. We have to pass the turn back, which makes it a little bit more susceptible to things like spider eggs. So there are 7 eggs in my deck right now. Hopefully they just play Bride of the Damned here. Or another Vampire Princess is also fine. So again, looking for Consult the Talons or ways to start cantripping here so we can kind of just go through our deck. One of the things that's super awkward about the Spider Eggs and Fate Weave is that Spider Eggs counts as a non-resource for Fate Weaving, but then the card they replace in your hand is just a random draw. So like it's actually possible to Fate Weave a non-resource with Heart's Whisper when you have eggs in your deck and end up drawing 2 resources effectively. So this is interesting. I could take this Runebind, but I'm actually going to take the Spider Egg here, because when the Spider Egg enters my hand, I draw a random card. So I'd rather give them a Spider Egg and have a random card than... yeah, I think we're just dead at this point. Yeah, I just got a little bit too much going on. Go ahead and pack it in here. They've got enough unblockable power, and we're not going to get set up this turn. Like, we needed to get set up that turn, so that way we could kill them in 2 turns. It just wasn't going to happen there. Evaporate's pretty good at protecting, and pretty important for protecting my Cyclone Shaper. This matchup's probably pretty hard for us. I don't know if this is a Dark Heart matchup. Like, they have so much good spot removal. Totem Trap could be good here. Totem Trap kills... Bride of the Dam's pretty unlikely to be attacking, but this card... I guess I want to bring in my Transmogrifade, so I want to kill their vampires, and I want to keep them off of Bride of the Dams. I probably don't mind trimming Cosmic Calling here, just because it can be harder to keep troops in play against the Blood deck. I'm going to do that. Let's do that and see how it feels. It's also worth noting that, like, they're an Extinction deck, which destroys all troops in play, so again, like, that's another kind of, like, we can have a hole in our game plan because they can just Extinction our board. After we put a bunch of duders out. This seems pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and Fate Weave a resource to the top of my deck so we get to guaranteed hit 3-on-3. As long as this, there actually isn't any, as long as this isn't a Diamond Shard. This could be a Diamond Ice, but Diamond Ice gives us another redraw, another resource, which is nice. Back when this deck was standard legal, you actually had to play, like actual resources in your, or actual Diamond Shards in your deck, which is just really rancid when you Fate Weave into them on occasion. Alright, so I'm going to Fate Weave a non-shard to the top of my deck, and then this sequencing is really important here, because now that we put a non-resource on top of our deck, then you want to play the Thunderfield Seer, because you want to prophesize onto the card that you're likely Fate Weaving to the top. Now, obviously there's a chance we're Fate Weaving like another Thunderfield Seer or a Cyclone Shaper there, but by and large, the correct sequencing there is always Seer, and then do the other thing. And exactly that reason, we hit the Guidance. Go ahead and do this. Go ahead and play the Cyclone Shaper out, and then go ahead and play this Guidance. For freebies, of course. And this is really sweet, because if they go to do this and strangle my Cyclone Shaper here, so I go ahead and Runebind this, which then, so now this is a rune while the strangle's happening, and then my guidance is going to resolve here, and I'm going to choose to draw a resource with this guidance, so I'm going to get to floop this right back out into play here. Real clean there for us. Just like dodge your removal spell, keep my Cyclone Shaper in play. One of the things that's worth noting when you're playing against a Hero Fall deck explicitly with this deck is that they can never Hero Fall additional copies of Cyclone Shaper out of your hand, because if they go to Hero Fall the Cyclone Shaper that's in play and you have one in your hand, if you empower this card, it actually changes the name on the card. So it changes the name to Empowered Cyclone Shaper, which lets it dodge getting Hero Fallen out of your hand. Consult the Talon is pretty good. So we're going to play this and put a non-resource on top of my deck. And then we've got this here Fangled Champion power for exactly situations like this. We just go ahead and consult for free. It's a freebie. Arcane Focus and see what we get. See if we just get going here. Definitely want another consult. I guess I'm just gonna do this. I have to be pretty fortunate to fully go off here. If this guidance hits another Light the Votives, we can continue comboing. Not surprised that we didn't hit a Light the Votives there. Like I said, we have to be pretty fortunate. So we're going to Transmogrifade this Bride of the Damned, so you just get right the fuck on out of there. Not interested in her shit. Take your stuff and go away, opponent. A king, prince, or princess you control gets invincible this turn. That technically works with their vampires, which is funny. We have Runebind to insulate our board a little bit. We've got these Consult the Talons here, so in an okay spot. If our opponent has Extinction this turn, that could be a little bit annoying. It's actually kind of an interesting question. If our opponent has Extinction this turn, do we Runebind to protect one of our threats? Do we Runebind the Extinction? I think because I have double Consult in my hand, I'm actually supposed to Runebind the Extinction if they play it here. Just because, like, there's a pretty good chance we generate a lot of velocity next turn and get to get Ascension going. So I think I'm just supposed to do that. Like, obviously, we can't, like, fully go off because, like, there's this Extinction looming, but there's also a chance, like, depending on how hard we go off next turn if we go off, that we could just, like, have another Runebind to, like, tempo this again and kill them. So here's my Consult the Talons. I would like to draw 3 cards. It's possible that some number of Confounding Ire could be good in the reserves of this deck, or that I should bring in some Verdict of the Ancient Kings against an Extinction deck like what our opponent's playing. Again, just looking for a PA at this point. There's our PA. So let's do that. Let's do this. All of our things start generating troops at this point. This is opponents had enough. Even with the Extinction off to the side, again, just like they know that the Psychic Ascension just gives me a crazy amount of inevitability. Even if they reset our board's going to reassemble very, very quickly. Yeah, I think I'm happy with how we boarded. I think just like the Transmogrifades out for the Cosmic Callings is pretty reasonable. I'm going to go ahead and click Submit. Like I said, you can maybe make an argument for the Verdict of the Ancient Kings, but I think overall I'm just pretty happy not. This is probably another matchup where I don't think I went into the Unknown in this matchup explicitly, but if I had Hawkward turns on the board, I would bring those in. I think I want some Hawkward turns. 3 resources is just so many in this deck, but like 2 resources or like 1 with Cyclone Shaper is like very, very reasonable, I think. I think this is okay. Need some resources here, but this guarantees us a 2nd charge and this guarantees us a 3rd charge, so we've got Transmogrifade to interact with an early Prince or Bride. Cyclone Shaper is a good pickup. That's the spell that we want in most of our hands until we're comboing them. We want Psychic Ascension. And this hand can't really afford to look for non-resources because it needs resources specifically. So drawing the Cyclone Shaper there feels reasonable. They have an Inquisition here. Okay, they've got a couple of different ways they can take this, and the way they go is going to depend on what's in their hand. I say they could get kind of greedy here and like take my Guidance and hope to screw me. So I'm going to go ahead and Guidance here and grab a Shard, obviously. Worth noting that we did not find a Sapphire there, so that is not a Sapphire. So I'm going to go ahead and play this Well of Purpose out here. I'm going to go ahead and play this Thunderfield Seer. Vampire Princess is very scary. So this card never actually hit us last in the first game, but it's a very, very powerful card. So this card says, whenever this deals damage to an opposing champion, you reveal a card at random from their hand. If the revealed card's an action, they get to take the action and turn it into a Vampire Kiss. And you can see here, our hand is very much full of action. So that is a must Transmogrifade. I feel like we're nowhere near comboing at this point, so I should kind of just take this Transmogrifade, because if they have another must-answer threat in their hand, I'm going to really be happy I took a Transmogrifade. So I'm going to go ahead and play this out as a Fate Weave for a non-resource, since I drew that Well of Purpose, and then we'll just go ahead and Transmogrifade this. Worth noting that this has mobilized, so we want to hold on to this one, because this one could be free later. Transmog before they declare attackers here, I think. It's got a 1 speed. So this thing can come back later if they have enough things in their bin, but by and large, just a 1/1 flyer, so that's a good downgrade for us. Transmogrifade is one of those cards that has a little bit of variance in it by design in Hex, but it gives you a little bit of flexibility. Okay, and they took the Transmog there, so that doesn't surprise me. It must mean they have another princess or like a bride or something here. Another princess. Yeah, a little scary. Might have to use this Runebind as a tempo play next turn. Another Runebind makes it a little bit less bad to use the first one as a tempo play, so that's nice. I'm going to do this for a non-resource, I think. Those are some non-resources. Okay. I could technically get greedy here and just take this hit since I'm 40% to not get punished by it, but I think I'm just supposed to Runebind this. I think it's pretty greedy not to just hammer this here. Again, this could kind of go either way here. They could take the Arcane Focus. The Arcane Focus is a card that could generate some velocity for me. Yeah, I don't actually have a lot going on here. Taking that. Whoa, that's a bit of a beating. All right, well, hopefully we draw a Consult the Talons next turn. If we hit a Consult the Talons here, we get to play this and then play it on the back of our champion power, which would be insane. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this out, so that way our hand's not exposed and our hand's been a discard spell. I'm gonna play this and weave a non-resource to the top, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pass the turn here. And our deck full of cards that like cantrip and like draw 2s and draw 3s, we top deck pretty well. So we'll see if that was the single best draw in the opponent's deck. So this card, like I mentioned earlier, combines with their Dreadband, let them draw 2 cards a turn. So hopefully we'll have our single best draw in Consult the Talons. That could be anything, even a Consult the Talons. And you'll note here that I'm holding the charges on my champion power. And part of the reason I'm doing that is because if we find Psychic Ascension and can play it, those charges are valuable to me, because every one of those charges, when you Psychic Ascension, could potentially turn into another action to eventually let you win the game. So when you're playing against these blood decks, you can often get into positions where you don't like fully combo where you draw your entire deck, but you just like Psychic Ascension, then overwhelm them with value from the Psychic Ascension. So we know none of these are shards, because if any of them were resources, this would have flooped back into play. So the fact that they're not drawing shards is not only good because it leaves this under here, but they have so many cards that being restricted on the resources is very, very good for us here. Inquisition. Well, I'm going to go ahead and evaporate this Disciple of Yazucan here, because they're going to take this for free, so might as well play this out, make my Psychic Ascension cheaper, and like tempo them off the board a little bit more. You could maybe make the argument that I should have like evaporated this and replayed it last turn to get my prophecies going. I could see that being a thing. Let's just go ahead and play this out here. This is a little bit medium for us if they hit an extinction, but it's pretty okay against anything else. Like I said, at this point, we've definitely played enough actions that if we flip a Psychic Ascension off the top, we can just play it and then kind of value them out. And even if we draw, if they have an extinction, we draw a Consult at this point in the game, like we can just play Consult as a 7-cost draw 3 and kind of get going from there. Alright, that means they drew a resource. Yep, sweet. Hopefully, come on, we're just waiting on a Consult or a Draw 2 or Psychic Ascension. Just so many good draws in our deck. Even just like Arcane Focuses or, you know, that's a good one. So mobilize off of these two, draw 3. Let's get going. God! Holy gosh, we are running cold. Alright, well at this point, we have enough charges that I'm going to go ahead and hit this for a candle. Because even if we find the Consult at this point, or the Psychic Ascension, like 4 charges should be enough to get us through the end of the game, hopefully. And I mobilized this. I was hoping, well, those are very good against us. All right, well, that's going to make it a little bit more challenging here. Oh. Did we try? I didn't discard resource earlier. So we've had 10 resources and 29 courage. Just a little bit above the curve. It's actually not that far above the curve. Because, like, remember, we have 18 resources in our deck, but we've also drawn half of our deck here. So the biggest piece of variance in this game so far is the fact that we haven't drawn a Psychic Ascension in the top half. The number of resources we've drawn is actually pretty in line with what we should see in the game. I always kind of hate when people are like, oh, I flooded out this game, and it's like, well, we didn't really flood out. Like, we saw half our resources, but like we also saw half our deck. So like, if you see half your deck, you should expect to see about half your resources. These Blight Knights are going to be a pain in the ass because whenever a troop is created, it gets -1/-1, which means even if we hit Psychic Ascension at this point, we could potentially not generate large enough troops, and these can get buried by it. Which means they just won't make any bodies. Well, here's our cantrips that find cantrips, like we were talking about earlier. Hey, that's a prophesized one. I almost forgot about that. Well, okay, that's a Transmogrifade. That's a Light the Votives. This answers one of the 2 Blight Knights. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and play this out for the charge for now. So getting rid of one of the Blight Knights is good because usually Psychic Ascension is making things that are large enough that they'll still leave bodies behind through a Blight Knight. I'm gonna go ahead and Transmogrifade this response. I didn't play this out because I don't really want to redraw it just yet. It's also just like pretty bad, right? Like making 1 candle isn't that good. This is a game where we didn't see any of those early. This has been a weird game. The fact that they still haven't put a bunch of eggs in our deck is phenomenal for us. I assume they're gonna start doing it here at this point. Because, like, there's only 25 cards in my deck, yeah, and they're at 29. So, like, the fact that they're still drawing cards and just, like, hammering fucking eggs into our deck seems like a mistake. I think if they would have been more aggressive with this, we wouldn't be as in this game as we are right now. Well, there's a Psychic Ascension. It's very possible that that's going to be too late unless we hit a really good one or two off of here. Vex Storm. Well, that's pretty fucking good. So this, every champion shuffles every card they have into their deck and then draws that many cards. So we're going to hit a bunch of spider eggs here, but more importantly, this is going to give us a bunch of things to make a bunch of minions. Troops, whatever they're called in this game. Silent Auctioneer, discard a card, sure. So let's play these out here. So my opponent's board is reset. We've got through a bunch of the spider eggs that could possibly be there to get through. Take this Heart's Whisper. Wow, that's a lot of shards. All right, well, let's do this and put a non-resource on top of my deck. And there's a good chance there's an extinction in their hand, right? Like we just gave the deck that probably has 4 extinctions in it, like a hand they've got 11 cards in their hand here. So there's a good chance the board gets swept this turn. But if the board doesn't get swept this turn, you know, we could do some crazy stuff next turn. We're also just like kind of winning the race, right? Yep, there's the extinction that I figured was going to happen. And I assume that they're just going to, like, take this and just, like, hammer it into the ground here, right? There's a good chance they should just, like, never play anything out of their hand and just constantly hit this. Cock it twice, sure. I think that's worse for them than just activating this Malice, but to each his or her own. It's another Psychic Ascension. That's pretty fucking bad. Alright, let's play this, and then this will cost 3 with the Mobilize. And we're kind of getting to a point where our deck size is a little bit of a worry. Oh, we have Light the Votives in our deck. Right, I forgot about that. So Light the Votives means we actually can't deck unless they have a way to bury cards out of our deck, which is nice. They have another Extinction here. That would be bad for us. If they don't have another Extinction, we're gonna get going here. Like if they like go Shard, Extinction, and then like that doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna discard this. This has defensive, right? Oh, I can shift the defensive off. Interesting. I guess I just bin this Remnant of Purpose. Slogging through our hand seems, let's call it ambitious. Let's call it ambitious. Do you have the Extinction? I could still have the Extinction here. They have 4 resources. Oh, the suspense is killing me. Do I have a board or not? They have an Extinction here. I think we're actually kind of behind. They don't have an Extinction. Holy gosh. That is phenomenal. We really want to generate a... a counter. Target opposing troop gets -8. Sure. Don't actually know offhand what the... So Psychic Ascension is interesting with when you already have a Psychic Ascension out because the Sapphire troops that it can generate are very specific, so they're controlled. So I'm actually going to pull up here and look up cards that cost 7, 8, 9, 10 that are troops and are Sapphire, so I can know what I could possibly hit at different costs. Sets, PvP sets. So what are expensive things? Let's just do... So there's... Shaggoth. There's an 8/4 with Spell Shield. There's a Kraken. So Dreadsuit Omega. What about at 7? Stratolith and Stormcloud Colossus. So 8, 9, or 7 are ones I would like to get to. So I'm going to play Thunderfield Seer out here. This is a quick action. I'm going to go ahead and play this Crypt Guard out, and then I'm going to go ahead and pass the turn, I think. I guess, are they already dead on board? This is 12, 13, 14, 15. This is 16 on board as is. So do I even want to play this Crypt Guard out? I think the answer is actually no. Because, like, if they do something to, like, just spot remove some of my board, I have Runic Raise to make some more units at instant speed here, potentially. So I think I'm just supposed to pass. It's possible I'm supposed to play this out, though. Just, like, have a little bit more than overkill. Looks like they're digging... Oh, they can gain health, too. Yeah, I definitely should have played the Crypt Guard out. I forgot that the Malice was going to make them gain health. I was doing so many things. Yep. Yep, there's Sweeper. Yep, this is the loading up my deck with eggs here. This is a good play on their part. Survey says interrupt target troop. That's pretty good. Runebind can buy us the time. It's a shame that the Runebind came when it did, because the Runebind against that Extinction last turn would have been A+. Probably just gonna Runic Raise this turn, or if they have a troop that they leave in play, because I would like to just like get a minion from this basically. Am I okay losing this? I don't think I am. Guess that just has to happen. I want to remind this. This makes Ancestral Specters for my deck, which is pretty good. They've already played 2 copies of Extinction. Oh, that's really unfortunate. So that is definitely how Hex works. So Hex, unlike Magic, tracks cards through zones. The fact that that Runebound and then came back into play meant that the Strangle was still in the stack while that happened. So it still tracks it and kills it. So I'm going to go ahead and play this Runic Raise during my opponent's end of turn here. Just so, probably this Transmogrifade too, actually. Just so I can generate some minions. One shot Void, another target human, then put the Voided card into play. Let's start with this and see what we get. Metal, target triggers +1/+1 and Swift Strike. Alright, so I'm going to focus first here, because I think most of the 7s are ideal with this. There's a lot of them that like, alright, well, we get our choice of Spider Eggs here. I would love to activate Buccaneer's Power and put a spider back in your hand. That sounds wonderful. Oh, I only get a 6-drop now because this replayed itself. That's a touch awkward. Okay, Grulk's kind of funny. Alright, so I get to go ahead and Grulk, exhaust this, and exhaust this to diddle a spider. Oh, this is funny. I can flip the Buccaneer 2/1s to put something back in their hand. This is one of the things like I love about Psychic Ascension. In these games where the Psychic Ascension doesn't take over, Psychic Ascension just creates very dynamic gameplay. Just because like the cards you're expected to play with are going to be different every game. And now my opponent's health total is getting low enough that like perhaps they can't just like willy-nilly hammer my health total with this. Withering Touch. That's very good. So they're going to have to take my Disturbing Thoughts here. If they stick like a Bride of the Damned, we could be in a lot of trouble. They have like Bride plus removal. Wonder if we're getting Extinctioned again. I'm not sure how many Extinctions we can beat. It really it depends on like depends a lot on if we hit some good ones here. Like if we hit like a Heartbreak, that would be kind of the nut. It smells like an Extinction. If we're really lucky, it's not. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Yep. Hello, darkness, my old friend. A troop enters play under your control, gain a health. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'd like to revert this guy. Make him a 6/6 again. I'm going to shift his defensive off onto here. Yeah, sweet game of Hex. Hit my phone ding. Sorry about that. Let's put you on quiet, shall we? Hero Fall. My 6/6. What does this do? Gives a troop +2/+2. I guess we'll just let that happen. The fact that they haven't had another Bride has like been really good for us here. And they're through 3 Extinctions at this point, so whatever board we generate from here on out is pretty likely to survive. Obviously, they like have a 4th in their deck somewhere, but there's a good chance that Vampire Prince is actually really scary here because it can not only hit extra Spiderling eggs out of our deck, but it can also mill through our Escalate cards that are going to prevent us from decking in the long term potentially. Up to X troops get 1/1 and are invincible this turn. So that is, again, just like the other card. So now I need to look up diamond troops with high cost. This can make a very specific diamond troop potentially here. So we have, let's do Grievous Phantom, transform each Phantom each one into a, we have Primordial Tortoise at 7. So Primordial Tortoise could be a potential. And we have Aegis at 9. You and other cards. Is this basic? That's quick. God, that's good. Lady Shimmer. Summon an Echo for each time she was inspired. So Aegis is the only 9 cost. So if I play this for 9, I guaranteed get an Aegis, which is kind of insane. So if I play that for 9, I guaranteed to get an Aegis, which is hopefully gonna blow my opponent the fuck out. I should not have attacked with that. I wasn't paying attention. This should be back to block these Vampire Princes, but again, I wasn't paying attention because I was so excited about this Aegis. Tap X target troops. I guess I technically have to have 9 things in play, but like, okay, so we have to do this now because obviously they're making us discard shit. Choose 9 for this. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 exactly. So this is, so Aegis makes your other troops invincible, so this guy is targetable. So if they have a hero fall here, they can kill the Aegis, obviously. But if they don't, how many hero falls are they through? They're through at least 2 or 3, right? I think it's 2 or 3. They've played 1, 2, 3. They've played 3 hero falls at this point, so pretty good chance that this Aegis is gonna live. I really shouldn't have attacked with this because if they get frisky with these vampires, we could be in a lot of trouble. Also worth noting, if they rip an Extinction at this point without the spot removal, the Extinction is not gonna do anything. Oh geez, now if they have hero fall here to go with this Bride of the Damned, we'd be fucked. All right, we need if we hit another good generation here to take this Bride off the table, we could potentially win the game this turn. They're gonna get a bunch of spiders because my deck is just a bunch of spiders. Bounty of the Magus. All right. All right. Oh, I think that's the hard lock. I think that's the hard lock. So this gets target and then it transforms into another copy of a troop. So this is going to... So this is gonna get target troops. So I'm gonna have 2 Aegis, which I believe against blood should just be the hard lock. And one of them is gonna be fucking huge, but... So I don't think they can actually beat this, but we'll see. I keep redrawing the same one. Well, that's pretty great. Oh, and these keep gaining me health because of this. God, this game was so disgusting. It was so disgusting. How is this even a game of Hex? It's so great. And they're all invincible. Come at me, bro. Come at me and my invincible pile of troops and cards drawn. And this is... this deck, I don't know. This deck is probably very playable, but I don't know if it's amazing, but God, if it isn't fucking great. Oh, what are the odds they have a way to void something in their deck? Next to 0? I'm going to go ahead and Diamond Ice here and put a resource on top of my deck because I don't want to draw Spider Eggs next turn. So, go. Holy shit. Psychic Ascension. Let me tell you about a hex card called Psychic Ascension and the games that it generates. Yeah, you gain that health and you draw them cards. Do you have an out to double Aegis in your mono blood deck? They'd have to have, there's a 5 cost basic action that voids target. I guess they could have Eternal Seeker in their deck. Eternal Seeker is like a card that they could like actually be playing, right? That beats double Aegis. I would believe that there's 1 to 2 copies of Eternal Seeker in their 75. It would not. Oh geez, oh geez, they have our Transmogrifade. Holy gosh, they have my copy of Transmogrifade that they took off the Withering Gaze earlier. Whew, lordy. That is what a game of Hex. I keep wanting to say chat, but there's no chat here. I should have left these back again, but I'm kind of excited and there's so much going on that like I guess they could potentially bill us out here technically with these Vampire Prince attacks. We do have a lot of fucking minions in play though, so I don't actually know here what the desired outcome is. I should these 10 out of 10 should have been. I guess they're gonna kill these, right? They're gonna kill these, so it didn't matter. I should have attacked with them. And I'm just gonna let the game engine do whatever it's gonna do here, and then we'll figure. It's gonna figure. I'm gonna attack with everything except this Aegis next turn, and we'll hopefully Hex will sort them out. Oh my god, do you know what I did too? I was auto-passed. I had this Valiant Escort. I totally could have picked up my thing in response to them transmogrifading it. I totally could have picked up my thing in response to them transmogrifading it. Totally could have picked my other Aegis up and then had double Aegis here. Purify. Well, that's kind of funny. They said GG's. I don't know if that means they think I'm dead or if they think they're dead. But I'm going to go ahead and attack with everything and let Hex sort them out. These are all invincible. I don't want to attack with my Aegis because the Aegis is not invincible and it makes my other things invincible. The good news here though is I get to this Purify. Are they just conceding? They're just like taking the hits here? I don't actually know if they could live through this attack or not. Maybe they could, maybe they couldn't, but I will thoroughly accept the W there. That was A+ and fantastic. I hope you all enjoyed this set. I'm going to be done playing games tonight. I have to get some other work done, so I hope you enjoyed those 3 games, and I will catch all y'all around later. Peace.